Right now. Perfect. Oh, yes. Sounds good.
Okay, it's 6 o'clock. I'm going to call the Village Nuclear Board meeting to order. Please silence all cell phones and refrain from using during the meeting. I look for an approval of the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Item 3, public appearances of citizens' comments and items not listed on this agenda. Items will not be debated or acted upon at this meeting, but will be referred to the proper staff or committee if action is required. Please keep your comments to 3 minutes. No one's here. Item 4, approval of the consent agenda.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
I'm sorry, I just want to ask. Michael, could you state your last name for the record, please? Michael on Zoom, could you state your last name for the record? Let's do so.
Quick one back, I missed who was the second one, the vote for the consent agenda, sorry.
I was.
Thank you, Jesse.
Sure. So do you want to move on?
Yep.
Okay. New business, consideration, discussion, resolution 26-04, appointment of full-time electric foreman. Kelsey?
Yeah, so a copy of the resolution was included in the packet, but I do want to note there was one change to this resolution, as the board is aware. The start date is February 20th instead of the 19th. But without further ado, I'm proud to introduce Pat Blair. Pat, you want to stand up? This is our new electric foreman. From Alliant Energy, and his local Griffin Belleville, lives outside of New Glarus now. Yeah, Pat, anything else you want to add?
No, I'm just excited and thank you guys very much for the opportunity.
Welcome.
We're excited to have you.
Yeah.
So just so everyone is aware, we had a hiring committee that consisted of staff and board members. And yeah, really excited to have Pat on our team.
We'll need a motion.
Motion to approve resolution 2604. Appointment of full-time electric foreman. Pat Blair.
I second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye. Opposed, motion carries. Item B, consideration, discussion, resolution 26-02, appointment of full-time public works laborer. Kelsey?
Once again, this resolution is included in your packet. No changes to this one. And I'm going to turn over the honors to our Public Works Director, Scott, to introduce our new Public Works laborer.
And Steve Hummel here. We had interviews 2 weeks ago.
Hi, Steve.
We had some good candidates and he was the best one that we.
Grew up in the area, maybe my grandma might have taught some of you. You did some bagel at the school.
Oh,
I remember.
That was your grandma?
Yes, that's my grandma.
Wow.
She just passed last year.
Yes.
Yeah. Nice to meet you. I look forward to seeing what we can get done.
Awesome.
great.
Welcome.
Take care of the community.
So Steve is joining our team starting on Monday, if approved.
I move to approve resolution 2602.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Welcome.
Welcome aboard.
And Steve, don't feel obligated to stick around for the whole meeting. Thank you, Pat. Yeah. Michael on Zoom, one more time, can you please either state your last name or add it to the name title on your Zoom name?
Kelsey, was that directed to me?
No, sorry, Bill, not you. We have a gentleman named Michael with no last name. So
Gotcha.
You can have him state his last name or add it to his title on Zoom.
Other ones for the record, Michael Westphal.
Thank you.
Thanks, good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Your Monday.
Thank you, Steve.
Yep.
I thought they can't.
Yeah.
Stay on without.
We usually put you into we prefer a first and last name. If you're joining on Zoom, you can state it or you can put it in your name title, but we do need that for the record. So I'll give you a couple minutes here to do that. Or I'll have to put Michael in the waiting room to be able to achieve that.
Okay, item C, consideration discussion meeting of 2027 CIP and inclusion of 2027 CIP within 2026 debt issuance. Kelsey or?
Yeah, so we have Kayla Thorpe from Eller. She is the village's financial consultant. She has been great to work with. She took over for Dave Ferris, as I think everybody knows. I think you've spoken to her in the past. But she's joining us tonight and is going to talk a little bit about the 2027 CIP and potentially adding it to the 2026 borrow. So Kayla, I'll turn it over to you.
Sure. And I'm going to share my screen just to give some context for what I am discussing. Oh, someone needs to allow me to share my screen.
I'm allowing it right now.
Okay. Perfect. Okay, can you all see the spreadsheet?
No.
Not there. It is. Yep.
Okay, perfect. Thank you all for having me tonight. Good to see you all again. As Kelsey said, my name is Kayla Thorpe. I'm the village's municipal advisor, and I'm working with your team to structure and get the ball rolling on the 2026 debt issuance to pay for the 2026 capital improvement projects. In evaluation of the capital improvement plan that was provided to us, we evaluated that 2027 projects is kind of in a weird dollar amount, which necessarily wouldn't make it super marketable to send or to sell on the open market alone, but also probably wouldn't be the most advantageous for the village on an interest rate perspective to seek a loan, especially a local bank loan, especially over $1 million. And so we discussed with your team about potentially combining the 2026 and 2027 projects into one borrowing to execute in this year. During the evaluation of our plan and putting it together, we evaluated the outstanding debt of the village and ran a refunding analysis for the 2025A and 2025B bank loans that the village took last year. Both of those loans were executed at a relatively high rate versus today's interest rate environment. And so we are proposing to refund those two notes as well, basically pay off the bank loans that at the high rate, take on new debt, same term, at a much lower rate. And between those two notes, we estimated about $65,000 in overall savings just from refunding them for interest rate purposes. And so untraditionally, like the village borrows local bank loans when they need them to pay for capital improvement projects. And given the size and scope of 26 and 27, we're considering and recommending that we sell this on the open market. The village has done this before. I think in 2021 or 2022 was the last time that this was done. But with the refundings, 26 is about $4.4 million in total projects. And then 2027 is just over 1.1 million, with the $1 million village hall renovation carrying the bulk of that weight. And so we are in a very favorable interest rate environment. We are in the mid to low threes right now for comparable sales. And so we just kind of wanted to float that idea to you and put the decision out to you today, as I am scheduled to be there, I think in 2 weeks or online in 2 weeks to set the sale. And so we really need to get direction on including these projects tonight so that we can include those in the official statement, and Quarles and Brady, your bond counsel, can start working on all of the documents.
And Kayla, can you talk a little bit about the opportunity if we do decide to rope the 2027 in with the borrow this year, the opportunity in terms of investment?
Correct. And so you have a 3-year spend down period in which you can essentially earn unlimited interest earnings on this borrowed money before you start to incur what we call arbitrage liabilities, in which you could potentially earn greater interest earnings on those than you are paying to the investors who bought that, but you have a 3-year exemption for that. So our current schedule has us selling these notes and closing in April, mid to end of April. And so you could invest those funds in a liquid fund using your investment advisor and really earn interest earnings on those until they're needed to pay for projects in 2027, as One, either a way to downsize that, which we don't have it structured that way, or to earn an alternative revenue stream temporarily while those funds are invested. So if there are overruns on any capital project, that could be applied to that, or could be applied to other projects or savings as a whole.
And just so everybody is aware, this is still within our debt capacity limits, our self-imposed and the state limits, of course.
Yeah, we've run a debt capacity analysis. Taking on both of them would put you at 67% of your statutory debt capacity, which is still sufficient capacity. You would have about $5 million remaining in 2026 that you could borrow, just shy of 6. And then obviously, as your debt starts to pay off, that capacity increases significantly. So we have no concerns on the debt capacity, and you'll see all this refined when I'm here to set the sale. But just the quick refunding analysis on the 2025A would have about $15,000 savings. That interest rate is currently 5.44%. Where current rates are about 3.35. And then the 2025B would have about $52,000 of savings. That's at 6.99%, and we're at 3.35 currently. And this is a conservative planning rate. It's a recent sale plus 50 basis points, which is 0.5%.
Any questions for Kayla? Or I know there was a lot of information at once. I mean, really what it boils down to is the village sees an opportunity here to put 2 years of borrowing together, be able to invest next year's borrowing, because realistically, we're not going to be paying much of anything to the village hall remodel anytime before April anyways, because we have the elections. So we can't start the remodel really until after that point. So we feel, staff feels that this is a really good idea and a good investment just because of how the numbers fell.
Where would we put those earnings in those three?
Yeah, so we would work with our investment advisors, AMG, who we have some funds invested with, and they're aware that this is a potential possibility. But we would either be able to use those, for example, if Village Hall remodel ended up costing a little bit more than what we had budgeted, instead of having to use surplus or go out for another small bank loan, we could use those interest earnings towards that project. Or if there was projects in the CIP this year that came in more than what we expected, we can use it towards those projects.
Okay.
And it's important to note too, these are both structured as general obligation promissory notes. And that provides you flexibility. If one of these projects doesn't happen, you can reallocate those funds at the board's discretion to any project you see fit. There's no like legal loopholes you would have to jump through. You just have to take council action to reallocate those funds.
I'd move to approve resolution 2603 reserve fund policy, debt policy.
I'm second that.
I will say I like the idea of paying down the bank loans and saving that
Right.
interest too.
Yes, I do too.
Okay.
Second.
Peggy said. second.
Oh, okay. Is there any further discussion or questions of Kayla? Okay,
Thank you. Thanks, Kayla.
Thanks, Kayla.
Thank you. I'll see you all soon.
okay, sounds good.
Bye.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Item B, consideration discussion resolution 26-03 reserve fund policy, debt policy.
Yeah, this is an annual resolution that we pass. This just confirms our reserve fund and debt policy and how much we need to have and how much we have. That is one thing I want to note. You may remember we invested those village reserve funds last year. They've been doing well. We just met with Dave last week about this. So we do have a little bit more in that village reserve than we necessarily need to have. The village board does have the option at any time that if you don't want to keep those extra funds invested there, we could pull them out and use them for something if we needed to. Last year, the village board's direction was just to keep it all in there and just keep investing and accruing. But just know that that is always an option as long as we stay at that limit, which I believe this year was 473.
Yeah. 473, 371.
Yep. 473, 371 is required, and right now we have just under 500,000. So.
then we need a motion. to-
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and approve the reserve fund policy 2603.
Second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Library update. Amy?
So each beams and tiling are complete, majority of the ceiling grids in, lighting and plumbing fixtures are in process. The air handling unit arrived this week, so they are installing ductwork also, and March 9th, we are scheduled to start the floorings. On time, under budget.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thanks, Amy. Cemetery, consideration of budget for ordinance 26-02. We got two. Does that make a difference? We got two.
One's an ordinance and one is.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, so. Repeal section 224-24 cemetery regulations and to amend chapter 129 cemeteries in the municipal code of the village of New Glarus, Wisconsin.
Yeah, so this ordinance is included in your packet. It was reviewed by both our village attorney, Bill Morgan, and by the cemetery board last week. Bill's revisions are in blue and the cemetery boards are in red, just so everybody's aware. This ordinance repeals and amends the current cemetery ordinances to combine them into one chapter, and then it includes rules regarding decorations, etc., allowed at the New Glarus cemeteries. Short version of this is that as our public works department is taking over the trimming for the cemeteries in an effort to keep that under budget and be able to have them trim more often, so it can hopefully looks better. We talked at the cemetery board about implementing rules that decorations were only allowed on the headstone or on the cement foundation of a headstone. If you wanted to put some decorations off of that headstone, you have to get the cemetery manager, which would be Scott's approval by March 15th of every year. And then you are responsible for maintaining that plot. We do have some families that choose to maintain their own plots now and decorate, and that's totally fine. We want to give families the options to still do so, but if you do decide to decorate off of the headstone, you would be responsible for maintenance. And there's some language in there about, with what happens if you say you're going to maintain it and you don't. But long story short, this should really allow us to hopefully stick to our budget and time schedule with trimming and allow us to trim more often. And have it looking nice without going over budget.
And Scott had recommended that we do like the state parks and put a copy of this under plastic or whatever. When you post it on a board and then cover it so people can want to do something at cemetery, have it available to read, especially the March 15th date.
And the cemetery board will be reviewing signage options coming up. That's a decision that that cemetery board can make without coming to the village board. So if this is approved, the cemetery board then will be reviewing how they want to display that at the cemetery. And then our hope, of course, is to get the word out. It's February already, so March 15th will be here before we know it. So we will work with the families that we know now, like to maintain their own plots and work with them. But just so if there's any other families or visitors that are interested in maintaining plots and have decorations off of the headstone, they have ample notice and time to do so.
Motion to approve ordinance 2602.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, personnel and finance, consideration discussion food reimbursement policy.
Yeah, there is a memo included in your packet. This also went to finance and personnel right before this meeting, and they did recommend approval. Cliff Notes version of this would increase the boot reimbursement for our public works and utility staff from $150 a year to $200 a year. I did research to try to find the last time we increased this, and I couldn't find it, so I think it's probably been a while. And if you bought work boots or safety apparel recently, you know that $200 is still pretty slim on that budget. So I think the extra $50 is at least a good start. They also asked that we take out just work boots and also allow safety apparel. So then that way our employees have the option that if they are okay on work boots, would like to purchase gloves or whatever else they would need safety wise, they're able to do that with these funds. The additional language added on that last page is in regard to anyone that resigns within 60 days of using the reimbursement policy. We have had a couple recent cases of this where people resigned within 60 days, knew that they were resigning and used their boot reimbursement. So we just want to protect the village and make sure that it's not being abused in that way. Obviously, there may be extenuating circumstances here, and we can definitely visit those as they come, but staff recommend that this is added to the language.
Move to approve the boot reimbursement policy.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Do you want a committee meeting update? For the steering committee?
Yeah,
You-
I can share too, Jesse. if you'd like me to.
Yeah, you go ahead.
Yeah, so we had an EMS steering committee meeting last night. It was well attended by public safety experts and local elected officials, representatives from the school district, fire department, the Greene County Sheriff, our local police chief here, just a variety of folks. It was really great to see. We had a full room. We had presentations by Dr. Spigner, who is an ER doctor at UW, teaches at UW School of Medicine, and is also the Belleville EMS's medical director. We also had presentations by Sheriff Cody Knable, and then also by Chief Patrick Anderson, who is the chief in Fitrona EMS. So they did a really great job, shared some really good information, and I thought we had a really good conversation among not just the committee members, but also the people in attendance. So
And Peggy and Becca and Sarah were there.
Yep.
And there's a lot of good information.
Yeah, so I think it left everybody feeling really informed and hopefully, excited about what this future looks like. And we're fortunate to have a lot of people around us that have done this. We're not reinventing the wheel here. This has been done, and obviously Belleville EMS themselves already run a successful district. So.
Okay. So, do we need a motion to go into close or read that first?
Read that first and then we
Okay.
get a motion. Yep.
The next item on the agenda concerns two separate claims which have been made against the village and a possible legal action to compel compliance with a public records request. I believe that it is in the interest of the village that we be able to speak freely as board members and with our attorney in order to properly consider these matters which could not do if the claimants were allowed to observe our discussions. Therefore, I move that we go into closed session pursuant to state statutes 1985 1C, conferring with legal counsel for the governmental body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is likely to become involved. Update regarding Sunshine Foundation tax exemption claim and discussion of notice of circumstances of claim filed by the New Glarus Area Emergency Medical Services, Inc. and enforcement options related to the EMS records request.
So you moved already.
I moved. So we need a second. Go ahead, Kate. And then roll call.
Larry,
Yes.
Jesse,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Becca.
Yep.
Sarah,
Yes.
Peggy.
Yeah.
Roger.
Yes.
That is a vote of 7, McClellan, yes.